If you've always felt different, misunderstood, or like you don't quite fit in with most people, you're not broken. You're likely just more intelligent than average, and that comes with specific psychological patterns that make you feel isolated. There are 7 signs that what you think is weirdness is actually high intelligence. By the end of this video, you'll understand why you've always felt different and why that's actually a strength. Let's break it down. Sign 1. You find small talk mentally exhausting and crave deep, meaningful conversations about ideas, concepts, and philosophies. The psychology? Higher intelligence correlates with need for cognitive stimulation. Small talk about weather, gossip, or surface topics doesn't engage your mind, it drains it. What this looks like? While others bond over reality TV or celebrity gossip, you want to discuss psychology, philosophy, science, societal issues, or abstract concepts. You leave most social interactions feeling unfulfilled. Why this happens? Your brain is wired for complexity. Simple conversational patterns that satisfy most people leave you understimulated. It's like being hungry and being offered empty calories, technically food, but not nourishing. The social consequence? This makes you seem difficult, too serious, or overthinking. Most people don't want depth in casual conversation. They want easy connection. Your need for substance reads as intensity. The neuroscience? Studies show high IQ individuals have more active prefrontal cortex activity, the region associated with abstract thinking and complex problem solving. Your brain literally craves more complex input. Why you feel weird? You're surrounded by people satisfied with surface-level interaction while you're starving for intellectual depth. This creates profound loneliness. You're socially present, but intellectually isolated. The relief? Understanding this isn't a flaw, it's a feature of how your mind works. You're not antisocial, you're intellectually selective. What to do? Seek out intellectual communities, online forums, book clubs, or professional circles where deep conversation is normal. Your people exist, they're just rarer. Bottom line, your aversion to small talk isn't snobbery or social deficiency, it's your intelligent brain demanding meaningful engagement. Sign 2. You genuinely enjoy being alone and often prefer solitude to social interaction, not because you're antisocial, but because your own mind is interesting company. The psychology? Research shows that highly intelligent people report lower life satisfaction from frequent social interaction compared to average intelligence individuals. What this looks like? You choose staying home with a book, project, or your thoughts over parties. You need significant alone time to recharge. Social interaction, even enjoyable, feels depleting. Why this happens? Your internal world is rich and engaging. You have complex thoughts to process, ideas to explore, and creative or intellectual pursuits that fascinate you. Other people's company often feels like an interruption, not an enhancement. The research? A Cambridge study found that highly intelligent people are less satisfied with life when they socialize more frequently, the opposite pattern from average intelligence populations. The evolutionary explanation? Intelligence evolved partially to solve complex problems independently. High IQ individuals may be wired for more independent operation. Why you feel weird? Society treats extroversion and constant social connection as healthy defaults. Preferring solitude is pathologized as depression, anxiety, or social deficiency. But for intelligent people, it's often genuine preference. The misunderstanding? People assume you're lonely when you're alone. You're not. You're engaged with your thoughts, learning, creating, or processing. Loneliness is wanting connection and not having it. Solitude is choosing to be alone. The social pressure? Friends and family may worry about you, push you to get out more, or think something's wrong. This makes you question whether your preference for solitude is healthy. The truth? Enjoying solitude while maintaining ability to connect socially when desired is completely healthy for intelligent people. You're not avoiding people, you're choosing enriching solitude. Bottom line, your comfort with being alone isn't isolation, it's self-sufficiency and internal richness. Sign 3. You instinctively question assumptions, authority, social norms, and conventional wisdom, not to be difficult, but because you genuinely need things to make logical sense. The psychology? Higher intelligence correlates with lower conformity and higher skepticism. Intelligent people don't accept "because I said so" or "that's just how it's done." What this looks like? You ask why constantly. You challenge processes at work that don't make sense. You question traditions, social expectations, and rules that seem arbitrary. You need logical justification, not appeals to authority. Why this happens? Your brain is wired for pattern recognition and logical consistency. When something doesn't make sense, your mind automatically looks for the underlying logic or inconsistency. The social consequence? This makes you seem difficult, argumentative, or disrespectful of authority. Most people are more comfortable with conformity and following established patterns. The evolutionary basis? Intelligence evolved to solve novel problems. That requires questioning existing approaches and finding better solutions. Your questioning isn't rebellion, it's problem solving. Where this causes friction? School systems, designed for compliance, workplace hierarchies, threatened by questioning, social institutions, built on unexamined traditions, and family dynamics, where "because I'm the parent" is expected to suffice. The misunderstanding? People think you question things to be contrarian or superior. You question things because your brain can't accept logical systems. It's not intentional difficulty, it's cognitive dissonance. The exhaustion? Having to follow rules or norms that make no logical sense while everyone else seems fine with it is mentally draining. You feel like you're living in an absurd world. The gift? This trait makes you an innovator, problem solver, and independent thinker. The people who change the world are the ones who question it. Bottom line, your constant questioning isn't defiance, it's intelligence demanding logical consistency in an often illogical world. Sign 4. You have extremely low tolerance for inconsistency, hypocrisy, and logical contradictions, and it bothers you deeply when others don't notice or care. The psychology? High intelligence includes strong pattern recognition and logical processing. This makes you acutely aware of contradictions that others miss or ignore. What this looks like? You notice when people's actions contradict their stated values. You see logical inconsistencies in arguments that others accept. You're bothered by societal double standards. You can't unsee hypocrisy. Why this is torturous? Once you see the contradiction, you can't ignore it. Your brain keeps flagging the inconsistency. Meanwhile, others seem completely comfortable with contradictions, which makes you feel like you're going crazy. Examples that drive you insane? People preaching values they don't live by. Social movements that contradict their own principles. Rules applied inconsistently based on who's involved. Arguments that use logical fallacies nobody else notices. The social consequence? Pointing out inconsistencies makes you negative, critical, or missing the point. Most people prioritize social harmony over logical consistency. Why others don't care? Average cognitive processing doesn't naturally flag contradictions as urgently. People can hold contradictory beliefs without cognitive dissonance. The isolation? You feel like you're seeing a different reality than everyone else. They're fine with contradictions you find intolerable. This makes you question your own sanity. The neuroscience? Studies show high IQ individuals have stronger connections between brain regions responsible for pattern recognition and executive function, making inconsistency detection automatic and distressing. The gift and curse? This makes you ethically consistent, intellectually honest and precise, but socially exhausting and perpetually frustrated. Bottom line, your hypersensitivity to inconsistency isn't pedantic, it's high-level pattern recognition that most people don't have. Sign 5. You're frequently bored in situations most people find engaging. Standard entertainment, work tasks, or social activities don't stimulate you. The psychology? Higher intelligence requires more complex stimulation to achieve engagement. What challenges average brains leaves your brain understimulated. What this looks like? Movies bore you because you predict the plot. Conversations bore you because they're repetitive. Work bores you because tasks are too simple. You constantly need new challenges, learning, or complexity. Why this happens? Your brain processes information faster and more complexly. Tasks that engage others for hours, you complete in minutes mentally. You need more difficulty, novelty, and complexity to stay engaged. The educational trauma? School was probably torture. You understood material quickly, then sat through endless repetition while others caught up. You were labeled unmotivated or not applying yourself. when you were actually dying of boredom. The workplace challenge? Most jobs are designed for average cognitive ability. You finish work quickly, then have nothing engaging to do. Asking for more challenging work makes you seem difficult or never satisfied. The social consequence? You seem hard to please, never satisfied, or always needing something new. People think you're restless or commitment phobic. Really, you're just cognitively hungry. The understimulation crisis? Chronic understimulation can look like ADHD, depression, or anxiety. You're not mentally ill, you're mentally starving. Your brain needs appropriate challenges. The coping mechanisms? You might jump between hobbies, jobs, or interests rapidly. People see flakiness, you're seeking adequate stimulation. Or you cope through substances, risk-taking, or destructive patterns, trying to feel something. What helps? Actively seeking complexity, challenging work, continuous learning, creative pursuits, complex problem-solving. Give your brain the difficulty it craves. Bottom line, your chronic boredom isn't a character flaw. It's your intelligent brain demanding appropriate challenges. Sign 6. You have an incredibly active internal world. Your mind constantly analyzes, questions, creates scenarios, and processes information, often called overthinking. The psychology? High intelligence correlates with higher baseline cognitive activity. Your brain doesn't turn off, it's constantly working in the background. What this looks like? You replay conversations analyzing subtext. You imagine multiple outcomes for every decision. You notice patterns and connections others miss. You can't just relax. Your mind keeps running. Why this happens? Greater cognitive capacity means more complex and constant mental processing. Your brain can hold multiple perspectives, possibilities, and layers of meaning simultaneously. The gift and curse. This gives you deep insight, creativity, and problem-solving ability. But it also means you can't turn your brain off. Simple decisions become complex as you see all implications. The social misunderstanding? People tell you, stop overthinking, or you're in your head too much. But you can't just think less. Your brain doesn't work that way. It's like telling someone to stop being tall. The exhaustion? Mental hyperactivity is tiring. By evening, you're mentally exhausted from a day of constant cognitive processing, even if you didn't do much. The creativity connection? This intense internal world often manifests as creativity, writing, art, music, invention. You're creating externally to process and express your internal complexity. The anxiety misdiagnosis? Constant mental activity is often labeled anxiety. Sometimes it is. Sometimes it's just high cognitive function. Distinguishing matters for proper treatment. What helps? Creative outlets, journaling, meditation, training the mind to focus, not stop, engaging work that occupies your full capacity, and accepting that your mind works differently. Bottom line, your chronic overthinking isn't a problem to fix. It's intense cognitive processing that's part of high intelligence. Sign 7. You have a persistent feeling of being fundamentally different from most people, and consequently deeply misunderstood by them. The psychology? When your cognitive processing, interests, values, and social needs differ from the majority, you experience chronic sense of alienation. What this feels like, you're an observer in your own life. You're participating in social rituals you don't quite understand. You feel like you're playing a character rather than being authentic. You're lonely, even in groups. Why this happens? Intelligence creates different psychological needs, interests, and processing. When most people operate differently than you, you're constantly translating between your reality and theirs. The profound loneliness? This isn't about being alone, it's about feeling unknown. People know you, but they don't understand you. They love the version of you that accommodates them, not the real, complex you. The masking? You probably learned early to hide your full intelligence, dumbing down, pretending to care about things that bore you, not asking the questions you want to ask, masking for acceptance. The exhaustion of translation? You're constantly translating your thoughts into simpler terms, holding back observations, or pretending to be engaged when you're not. It's exhausting. The search for your people?
You're always looking for someone who gets it, who you don't have to translate for, who thinks deeply, who sees what you see. Those connections are rare but profound when found. The relief of recognition? When you finally meet someone who operates on your wavelength, it's overwhelming relief. Finally, someone who doesn't make you feel weird for being you. The statistics? If you're more than 1 to 2 standard deviations above average intelligence, you're in the 2 to 15% of the population. You're literally statistically rare. Of course you feel different. You are. What this means? You're not broken. You're not weird in a bad way. You're cognitively different in a world optimized for average cognitive function. That's challenging, but it's not wrong. Bottom line, your chronic feeling of fundamental difference isn't delusion. It's accurate perception of statistical rarity. Here's what you need to understand. Everything you've been told is wrong with you, being too serious, too analytical, too solitary, too questioning, too intense, never satisfied, overthinking, feeling different. These aren't character flaws. They're the natural psychological consequences of higher intelligence operating in a world designed for average cognitive function. You're not too much. The world is too little for your mind's capacity. You're not antisocial, you're intellectually selective. You're not overthinking, you're processing complexity most people don't perceive. You're not difficult, you're pattern matching against illogical systems. You're not never satisfied, you're appropriately challenged by very little. You're not weird, you're statistically rare. The challenge isn't fixing yourself, it's finding environments, work, and people that match your cognitive needs. It's accepting that you'll always feel somewhat different and learning to see that as strength rather than deficiency. The goal isn't becoming less intelligent to fit in. It's building a life where your intelligence is asset, not liability, where your depth is valued, not pathologized, where your mind's capacity is appropriately challenged and appreciated. So if you've always felt weird, different, or like you don't quite fit, you're not broken. You're likely just more intelligent than average, experiencing the natural psychological patterns that come with that. Which sign resonated most? Drop 1 to 7 in the comments. And if this video made you feel seen and less alone, hit that like button and subscribe to Behind the Mind for more psychology, intelligence, and understanding what makes you different. Remember, you're not too much. You're exactly enough. You're just operating in a world that wasn't built for minds like yours. And that's challenging, but it's also your superpower. Find your people, build your environment, own your difference.